happy today. I am WilliamBrown.com, and I am William Brown. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. See, that's what happens when you're producing the show and a little message happens and says, "Hey, I didn't work the way you thought I was going to work," and so I just went into autopilot, and now I am a website. So let's just start this all over. That happy today. I am William Brown from IamWilliamBrown.com. This is Disconnect to Connect, one word conversations. You know, the one thing that I love about this show, and this show is, I think, episode number 55. Whoop, whoop. I am just so excited that, last 55 days we've been on this journey. But the one thing that I've noticed that I have embraced the messiness of my life. I've embraced the messiness of this show. Too often, I really wanted things to be perfect and great and nice little bow, so I can present it and be accepted and loved. That brings transition into the word that we're going to explore today, with love. But really, the more that I embrace the messiness, the imperfectness of this show, my life, my relationships, the more I can find joy, and beauty and all the other things that I'm also looking for. So, with that in mind, I am going to invite my friend in, and we're going to have a conversation. Good morning.
Hi, Bill. Good to see you.
Great to see you too. As I do, this is the moment that I invite my guests to introduce themselves however it feels comfortable.
Okay. You see my name there, Wendy Sanchez. I was thinking about this. How do I introduce myself? I grew up in Connecticut, that's New England, till I went away to college in upstate New York. I went to Cornell University. After that, my folks moved to Atlanta for when I was in school. So I spent a little bit of time in Atlanta. That was my first introduction to the South. Loved it. But my first career job was to Southern California. So that was another big change. I lived in Southern California for 6 years. Love that. I love that I can say, oh, I had my California years in my 20s.
Right.
Then made a move to Orlando, Florida. So came all the way back across the country. Lived in Orlando for more than 20 years and didn't really want to move there, but really grew to love it. And
Right.
now I'm in Indiana. We moved here about 6 years ago, and I still have this affinity to Orlando. Whenever I see news, part of my heart is still there. Yet I will say we absolutely love Indiana, the change of seasons, and so that's just a bit about all the different cultures that have shaped
Right.
me.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a wife. I'm a stepmom. I'm a daughter. I made a whole list. What am I? I'm a
Right.
aunt,
Right.
friend, cousin. Let's see. I made a list over here. I've been a writer. And I say once a writer editor, always a writer editor. I'm
Right.
always editing. But mainly I've been a communications director in communications for years and years. And I work for a Christian nonprofit called Cru, formerly known as Campus Crusade for Christ. And we seek to provide and offer resources and guidance spiritually to students and faculty across the country and around the world. And I've been doing that ever since I left college.
Right.
So in some form
Wow.
or other, yeah, that's been my path.
Well, there are two things that come up for me within your introduction. Is
Okay.
that there's a lot of labels here today, so this is going to be a fun conversation about that. So that's great. So there's
Yeah,
a lot of
you're the
people that have
label man.
joined in. I'm the label man, and the other thing is how our location, how
Yeah.
where we lived, is a part of our identity.
Hmm.
And So yeah, that just came up for me. It's like, look, I'm from Pittsburgh, so I'm part of the Steeler Nation and everything like that. And but it's kind of interesting. You know I I don't make mention of that much unless it's football season or or something
It's in there.
or something. But it's definitely in there. So the question of our time together is, how does the word love show up for you?
Mm. Yeah, I when you gave me that word, I thought, wow, that's about the biggest word
Right.
that I could think of, and we could spend, you know, time on all different angles of love. But the time about the different places I grew up, that also brings in how I grew up.
Hmm.
And when I think about love, I think, well, we're in my faith tradition, which is for me is Christianity. We know that we're created to be loved
Hmm.
and to love. I mean, that's a part of our human who we are. And that
Hmm.
is so foundational and it goes with us our entire life. So it, excuse me, I, so your family of origin, I think at the very beginning lays some foundation of how do you know what love is and how do you learn to love? Are you loved? But then as we grow, or as we get older, if there are gaps in that, and I want to
Right.
be sensitive to the fact that that is the case for a lot of people.
Right.
We have friends, we have parental figures outside of the home. I had a coach who was influential in my life when my dad was on the road a lot, and so you can point to different people who have reflected what does that mean to be
Right.
loved and accepted. Um, and then friends as you come into adulthood, um, it I really believe if you don't have some of that, if you don't have that foundation intact,
Right.
if there are significant gaps, it's going to affect everything.
Right.
But you're not stuck there. That you
Right.
can change and grow.
Right. No, I definitely appreciate it, and that's how love shows up for me. Is that that we are love. We are made to be loved. Right. All of those things. It's together, and I also have, I call my Christian label, right, and in the worldview,
We share that.
that the scripture that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And when I look at the world, when I look at everything that is happening and not happening in
Mm.
not just my immediate environment, but throughout, what I can see, that's why I believe I'm having a conversation about self love, because I believe that
Yeah.
love doesn't show up in a lot of places for me because people don't have a self love, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If that scripture is true, and I believe it is, I believe that we cannot love other people if we don't first love ourselves. If there isn't an understanding of love for ourselves and to ourselves, and it is hopeful and scary at the same time of the level of, I guess, love that is not present in our experience. The gaps, as you were talking about,
Yeah.
and in just finding ways to close those gaps for us,
Mhm.
so we can have the life that we want, the life of love.
Well, and interestingly, as you say that, that was one of the things that I was hoping we would talk about is that we are called to love others as we love ourselves. So we do need to learn, what does that mean to love myself? And if some people never have to think about it because they had these structures as they grew up, and it's there. And yet, as you were talking, I thought, it's kind of like two sides of the same coin, because while we need to learn to love ourselves, we can't do that in isolation. Like,
Right.
I really think the places I've grown the most in appreciation and acceptance of who I am is in safe, healthy relationships. Because then you're learning to take in love and learning to see yourself the way other
Right.
people see you, and you think, wow, these people love me. I think that helps
Right.
you heal and learn to love yourself.
Right. Yeah. I totally get it. Our relationship. I said something, or I shared something online a couple of days ago. Is my relationship with one thing is my relationship with everything, and it is it is something that I've been exploring. Is that when I look at love and my relationship to love shows up in my relationships, right? Shows up in my shows up in the way I show up, in my doing, in my giving, in my if there is a gap, if there is something that I'm still figuring out for myself, it's in that relationship. And so I appreciate you saying that we're not alone in this. And too often, when life gets hard, there's this mentality that I've embraced sometimes. You know what? It's just me and you, Jesus. That's that's
Yeah, yeah,
I'm done with these people, right?
yeah,
It's just not. I'm just done, and I'm missing. I don't want to say I'm missing the point, but it's like I'm missing myself. I'm missing the big part of why it's important to love myself, so that that I can love others, not that I can just love myself and stop there.
yeah, yeah. And it doesn't. I think in reality it doesn't work. We
Right.
get hurt, and so we want to withdraw and say, "Well, I'm never going to do that again." And like you said, the Christian version is it's me and Jesus, and other
Right.
faiths would be, never going to do that again, or I
Right.
can handle this myself.
Right.
But it doesn't work because we're made to be connected with people, and
Right.
I've also heard, when you've been hurt in relationship, you need to heal in relationship, and
Wow.
that may be a different relationship, a healthy one,
Right.
safe
Right.
one, safe
Right.
people. Um, yeah, we need each other. We do.
Right. And you know, the one thing about love that sometimes trips me up, is that there's a consciousness of, if something bad happens or something that happens that we don't like, it's just like, oh, we just need more love. We just need love will solve all our problems. Love is all we need, right? That's what the song says, right? But what trips me up is that there are so many expressions of love. There's so many understandings of love. There's so much of love. In the bigness of love.
Mm.
Sometimes I'm not aware or present to what love is needed at a particular time,
I
if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, I see.
Right? Yeah, it's like I know this love is needed right now, but I don't know what
Yeah,
what aspect of love is needed right now, and just kind of figuring that out.
yeah. Oh man, I agree. Like, and sometimes the form of love that's needed wouldn't be the one that I would choose. Like, sometimes the most loving thing my husband can do is tell me something hard, and I
Right.
do not want to hear it. But when you love a friend or a spouse or a child, maybe a parent-child is a great example too, because think of the times that we were disciplined,
Right.
or you hear tough love.
Right.
Love isn't just that warm, safe feeling. That's a big part of it, and
Right.
we need that. We do need that.
Right.
Um, but then as we grow and want to continue to grow and be adults and mature in how we relate to each other,
Right.
then we need the other forms of love, the
Right.
correction, the like I said, saying the hard things, or but saying the hard things and staying. I
Right.
think that's what a safe relationship is. I'm in it with you. I'm not going anywhere.
Right.
You can do anything, and I'm not going to go. And some of us had abandonment. I had some abandonment issues
Right.
in my childhood, and so that concept of I'm in it with you. I'm not going anywhere is huge.
Right. Yeah. I think for for me, I've mentioned that there are challenges, within my marriage or within my relationship, and I had a very, I'll just say it, I had a very understanding of not just what love was or how it was going to show up within my marriage. And when other things showed up in my marriage, then I questioned if love was there. I question,
Mm,
and so it was just like, huh, can these other things be here along with love? Will love overrule this, or is some of this a part of love? And it was just really the more that I was willing, or I am willing, because I'm still married, happily married, and all that other kind of stuff. The more that I'm willing within this relationship to expand my understanding, my appreciation, of love. There's a lot of, I don't say mess, but there's a lot of things that I don't understand. I've one thing that I remind myself that just because I don't understand it doesn't make it crazy, right? Sometimes the first response is, it's like something happens, it's like, oh yeah, that's crazy, and it's like, no, I just don't understand it, right? You know,
yeah.
but it is like, so if I can say, okay, I don't understand this, I am going to seek for understanding. I am going to be curious and do an inquiry here to kind of do that. Look, I may conclude that, yeah, we're not going to have this in our relationship, or this is not love. But if I don't make those inquiries, then I will never know. I
Mm,
won't discover.
mm,
And it's like too often we reduce, we label something as love or not. It's like either or, because of what we make it mean, and then
mm.
we lose the opportunity to be in relationship and to grow within that. So I don't know. So, like I said,
Wow.
sometimes I overthink things, or something, but
Yeah.
that's a challenge, and it's a noble thing to do.
Mm. Yeah, I'm thinking about that. I think I'm married later in life, so since we were talking about marriage, and I'm sensitive to not always equate love with marriage because of having
Right.
been single. I was single until I was 42, so I
Right.
know that there is great love out, not in a marriage relationship, and the more that
Right.
singles and divorced continue to learn to love as adults,
Right.
then
Right.
you can have a great you can have a great life, and then you
Right.
just have a better marriage for having learned
Right.
that. Um, anyway, what was I going to say? Oh, the thing that I had always learned about and thought about pre-marriage and wanted to bring into it was love being a decision.
Hmm.
I mean, as we were dating, yes, the love, the feelings, that's all fun, and I loved that. Like, in fact,
Right.
I didn't want it. I loved dating. I loved being dated.
Right.
Even though I think my husband and I both thought there's something to this and this could go quick, there was also
Right.
that sense of I like having a boyfriend. I like
Right.
this season of dating.
Right.
But then the decision to marry and form a lasting relationship is people say commitment, decision,
Right.
and that I tend to equate love with that as well. That's
Right.
I will be here,
Right.
and all these things may happen, and some might not feel loving. The
Right.
emotion of love might fluctuate,
Right.
or even the actions of each other might not. And honestly, sometimes don't communicate love because we're human.
Right.
You tend to hurt the one you're closest to. That just
Right.
happens. But
Right. Proximity. Right.
if you keep going back to, but we made the decision, we committed, that our love is the I'm here even when you're ugly to me, and you stick around even when I'm the worst of myself.
Right.
There's something actually really intimate in that when you know that you can bring your full ugliest self. I mean,
Right.
not intentionally, although sometimes it is
Right.
intentional. But that
Right.
you have that freedom of, I'm going to tell you really what my thoughts were,
Right.
and that's amazing. I think
Right.
that's what makes the marriage stronger and stronger. The more you do that, I think then that becomes the glue that's stronger and stronger over time, even
Right.
though the feelings might fluctuate. The feelings
Right.
come back.
Right.
So
And yeah, no, I totally get it. Um, there was, you know, when you were speaking, it was like creating this like love container. You're creating a space to kind of hold all of the messiness, right? Hold all of the things that's within it, and for so long and early in my marriage, and let's just say a lot of other relationships at church or with work, I wouldn't do certain things or I wouldn't reveal certain things because I felt if they knew this about me, they wouldn't love me, you
yeah,
know.
yeah,
But so it's kind of interesting when you really embrace the expansiveness of love. It can handle all of that, all of you, all of us. But there is that commitment to that, and the commitment to the relationship, commitment to love,
yeah,
commitment to a number of things within there. And because there's so many situations in our society that I'm offended and let's just go. This is
yeah,
getting tough, let's just get out of here. And all that other kind of stuff. And I think, like you mentioned before, love time sometimes shows up and has hard conversations or tells you, something. And in order to have a hard conversation, you have to be there, right?
yeah,
With Facebook and social media, people think they're having hard conversations online with someone from. That's not a hard conversation. That's just ranting online, right?
yeah,
I mean, it's like you may be saying that, but a conversation for me only happens when it's like you are connecting with one person or a group of people where and you're in it, you're on the court, they're in the arena, as they say, and really going to say, hey, this is something that's important to me, and I'm going to be brave enough to say something, and I am willing to kind of to talk this out and work this out.
yeah.
And you know that's when the love is possible to grow and to kind of to have within there. And I think too often, it's like we get it twisted that it's like I have to hide myself, or I have to not do certain things to keep love. And love is calling us to reveal all.
That's good. Yeah, as you were saying that, the other word that came to my mind was safe. Like, who are my safe people?
Right.
And as you grow in your marriage, that person should be increasingly one of your safe people. But I think you
Right.
also, who's my inner circle?
Right.
Who are my friends that I can risk sharing, my deepest thoughts, my fears, my ugliness, my I did this. Like in the Christian faith, we call it confession. Who
Mm.
can we admit
Right.
and know that what we're gonna receive is someone saying, "I hear you. I've done similar," or "I'm not surprised, and I still
Right.
love you."
Right.
And I think we get into trouble when, and you mentioned online, either online or in just our relationships out there,
Right.
we misread who our safe people are,
Right.
and we take some of those risks in what really is not a safe or tested situation. We get
Right.
hurt, and then we say, "Oh, I'm never going to do that again."
Right.
And I think it's because we didn't. We, we need to find who's my tribe, who are my safe people.
Right.
In fact, there's a book called Safe People, and I was
Hmm.
going to say earlier, one of the places I've developed and practiced and learned the most is Henry Cloud is an author who's
Okay.
communicated a lot of these things in a way that I was able to read and go, yeah, that's true, and I'm going to try that. And had some friends who were also growing and um, could have the conversations with them about what I was learning and how to risk, how to um, how to find where your particular gaps are that might be keeping you from taking in the love you need or
Right.
expressing to others that love. So yeah, you need those people, but you need to find out who they are.
Right. Yeah. It's the awareness of that the only way that you can fully love is to in some cases expose yourself for hurt, right? Expose there
Risk,
is there.
risky, yeah,
So there is that, right? And so yes, creating, a safe place. I don't know if it's a safe place of repair or a safe place of
that's a good word,
of
repair.
boundary, right? You know what I mean? It's like because there's a number of things that I do and say to keep myself safe. But it also keeps me small, and it keeps me from loving, right?
Yeah,
And so how can I have that, that inner circle, that safe, place, but also put my heart out
yeah,
to love and to expand my understanding and my expression, of love,
mm,
and go through and just go through that because the more that I believe that the more that I expand my love in my life or how it shows up in my life, the more access I get to connect, to people, to create the connections that are happening. So there's things happening in your area, but it's hey, within a conversation, a lot of things come up,
right.
right? Right.
No, we live on Main Street in Anderson, Indiana, and we're on one of the ambulance routes, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
Okay. So
No, well,
so
when you were saying that about safe, I think it's not safe. It's safe with risk because safe friends allow
got
you
it.
to risk.
Right.
And yeah, I would say if the only safety in relationships we're looking for is where we'll never be challenged or we'll never take a scary step, and that's
Right.
missing. That's a narrower view than I think I was describing your inner circle. The inner circle I have of my friends is I where I can risk, where I can say the
Right.
hard stuff, and they say the hard stuff to me, and
Right.
I know that I need that. Like I invite that. I mean,
Right.
I think the more you grow and you get those gaps filled in, then you see, I need to hear that kind of feedback. I need someone to point out, I think I'm hearing you fudge on that a little bit. Are you really being honest with yourself? And
Right.
um, Yeah, another thing I wanted to say is when we talk about friendships, um, as we get older, I think our need for life friendships, people that
Hmm.
we hang on to through seasons, through the years, um, increases. And when I look back and those different moves that I had, um, there's someone coming to my door.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you were warm, and
I,
the dog
yeah,
wants to let them know, right?
thank you. I can let my husband know and he can talk to the person. I'll be right
Right.
back. Sorry.
Okay.
Talk about
No, that's all
remind me
right.
what I was saying about life friends.
Okay, great. No, sometimes within our conversations, um, we we have to take a moment. We need a break. We need to recognize, and so you're back.
Yes. Oh, that was so
So
sweet. It was a kid wants to see if we want lawnmower service. So
okay,
he's out there looking for his work.
so that yeah, so that's good. So
No,
that's good.
I was saying that about life friends. Having moved in my 20s and 30s, and we have lots of different friends. We leave college or high school, and some of those can stay friends, some don't. You might move and have to make new ones where you move to.
Right.
And a concept I heard 10 years or so ago, and it just rang true for me, was finding who are those people who are going to stay life friends despite moves. And
Right.
and
Mm.
I know women who they set once a year or every 2 years where they get together with those women, even if they live
Wow.
in 4 different states.
Wow.
And I have a few of those life friends that, like when we made this move up to Indiana, um, my best friend is in Orlando, but we talk more than my friends that I've made here so far.
Right.
And just to hang on to those because those are significant and um,
Right.
yeah, that's a good thing to not think that your friends have to be the ones closest in proximity to you.
Right. Right. Because that's in some cases because I felt that way. I felt that my love could only reach so far. It's like, but so they're only getting, even though I'm still aware of them that are 4 states away or however far they're away, you know, it's in my heart, but but you might not feel it, right?
Yeah.
But really being intentional, about it, and I think that's great. And I can look through, I guess my friends list and kind of see that there are few friends that I would get on the plane and and kind of hang out for some time and just be at rest and silly and all that and the level of support that was needed because there is genuine love for each other,
Mhm.
and to go from there. The one thing I wanted to bring up in this conversation, because I think it's in our space, in our news and in our conscious now. You can't, in some cases, some people feel that you can't talk about love without talking about hate. And for me, I think you can because I think my the opposite of love for me is not hate. It, it is geez, it is basically dismissive. It is
Ambivalence.
right in
That's the word that came to
ambivalence.
my mind
It's
here.
right. It is just is there is if I don't see you, that's a dangerous place to be. And I think that the hate that we see is not is not because of people not seeing us. I'm trying to get this together because I
You're
had it
saying that
together and I got
it
it.
is or it is not because people don't see us.
It's no, I. I think it's not because they don't see us or they don't acknowledge us. I think the hate that we see is because they do see us and they don't understand, they don't appreciate, and
Mm,
they feel that there is a loss within that. There is a fear of that unknown of that. So that within that fear, hate shows up.
mm,
The 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 opposite of that is when you don't exist for someone.
yeah.
I have been in environments where people would look through me and I could feel it with a smile on their face. I I meant nothing to them. I could do nothing for them and everything, and I knew instinctively, watch this person,
Yeah.
because anything could happen. And so the more that we recognize, I believe, the more that we recognize that I don't think we have to educate people that hate, but I think there is the relationship that we were talking about before, that the more that there is a willingness to relate to each other, that then that hate can move, can shift into
Mm,
something else. And I think this, cancel culture, or just kind of, you know cutting people off, and I think that's why it really hurts me that, because of politics and everything, a lot of families are disconnected, a lot of long-term friendships are over, and it's that type of thing that, because there wasn't an understanding of each other more than just on one level, and so now people have created this divide on this one thing, and I because I'm a reconciler and I'm a bridge and I'm a diplomat, I believe that there's a way back. But it's through relationship, and I believe that some people should be out of my life for a season, and just kind of to handle that. But I think, as was mentioned before, we are designed to be loved, and we are love. And so when that is present, all of these estrangements and disconnections, they just kind of go away. And so the more that we show up in that, the more that love will win, as they say, right?
mm, mm.
And so that didn't come out exactly the way I what it was in my head. It was clear in my head, and maybe I'll write on it more. But hopefully you understood that. I think
It's interesting.
there's a for me, I can really, and I don't know if it's because of my black label, right? But I because it's really, I've used that analogy with some of the women that I was interested in when I was in that dating phase. I could see very clearly if I had a chance. It's like,
Yeah.
if they didn't see me, yeah, that's it,
Yeah.
right,
They're not tracking with you.
right there,
Yeah.
and it's if I had to do a song and dance to get their attention and jump around, it's like, yeah, sorry, this is you're just not on my radar.
Well,
Um,
I do find that really interesting. I think I was tracking with you that I do agree that I mean, I've heard the opposite of love is that what I said, ambivalence. It's a
right,
not even giving the time of day or awareness.
right, right,
It made me wonder while you were describing that. I think, well, it if there is hate or if there is active
right,
confrontation, might we still have hope that
right,
that can be healed? The harder thing to heal is is the I don't even see you, I don't even
Right.
keep time again.
Absolutely. That
Yeah,
is definitely harder. Right.
and that is a hopeful message for today, because when people at least are engaging with each other,
Right.
um, there's there is relationship. It
Right.
might be strange, but like you
Right.
said, it's there. It's that
Right.
connection is there. So that's really huge. I think that's a message for today, that
Right.
there is hope. There is we can get there. We can stir up.
Right.
Um,
Right.
the harder one is the ambivalence and the I don't
Right.
even the disengaged.
Right.
But I
Absolutely.
wonder if that's not, they say that bell curve. I wonder if that's the people on the far side that you just say, well, we're not gonna worry about that right now. Let's be with this huge group in the middle where there is frustration, there is
Right.
misunderstanding, and
Right.
let's focus our energy there.
Right. I think for me it's coming back to what you said earlier about, within our relationships and staying, right? It's that commitment to the hard conversation, that commitment to the ugliness of, our lesser selves. That is, you know love can hold that. Love can, love will kind of, basically help us through that, if we are willing to stay and to be in that. And like I said, too often, when it gets ugly, when it gets hard, we make I believe we make an assumption that because of that, love is not present. And then we miss the opportunity for what I believe the real power of love, to show up. Because too often, just like in the dating time, right? It's fun. It's all, everything. Everybody's buying me gifts and all that other kind of stuff, and we think that's all love is. And all the other ways that it shows up, it's like, oh, that doesn't feel good, so that can't be love.
Mm.
And like we're missing it. We're missing that opportunity.
Well, and I think in this season right now of growing, us say this as a majority culture woman, in this time of learning and love takes the form of I need to not talk so much and listen and learn and not assume that because I've experienced some things with my ethnic minority friends that then I get it. I know it. Um, that's a danger for me to to think because I've adapted some of my behaviors or I've identified my um, growing up never having even think about ethnic culture
Right.
because I was in the majority and having to go, wow, not everybody grew up like that. How
Right.
has that affected me that I've inherited? And for some of my white friends, the word privilege is a difficult word,
Right.
but I look at it and I go, well, I had a lot of it. I didn't know, I didn't try, I didn't. So growing in that right now is trying to stay humble and trying to
Right.
say, I need um, my friends who are hurting, my friends who have had different experiences I just need to listen.
Right.
And that's a big thing right now that I hope we're all experiencing some hope because I see a movement, especially younger. This gives me hope because it's the 20 somethings, it's the 30 somethings who are leading us. Um, to say we need to listen, we need to learn.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah. So, as you said before we started, we could talk about this for hours.
yeah,
However, I'm sure our loved ones has that need our attention, right? Or the things that we love need our attention also. is there, other than that, that was a good stopping point for what you said, but is there anything else that you want to leave this conversation with?
Mm. The phrase that I often hear in my head that encourages me, um, because it's my faith is my foundation. It informs other things. I've had an experience with God that changed my life, my concept of love and acceptance, and that's that I we we love because He, God, first
Right,
loved us.
right.
And that's huge, that we didn't do anything to earn that or deserve that or be good
Hmm.
enough for that. He chose to love us.
Right.
And that is the basis of learning how to love. In fact, when my mom passed away, the thing that I got thinking about and shared at the memorial was that I loved her because she first loved me.
Wow.
And I had never thought of it that way. That it's not just we go around and we love people, but often we get to experience their love and then we realize that we love them.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know why I thought of that as the I guess because it just comes back to me often is that
Right.
it's not really about me. It's not really, it doesn't start with me.
Right. Right.
So
Right. Wow. Thank you very much.
you're welcome.
This,
This has been fun.
yeah, this has been fun. I really love conversations like this, and I've said my wife loves me, but she doesn't love conversations like this on a daily. So I had to get my friends involved, right? Right. So
We
so I'm
marry we marry people who are different than us, and
right.
that's part of figuring out. Yeah.
It's figuring it out, right? But thank you very much. While I end the show, I hope you have opportunity. I'm going to put you back in the green room, and we'll say our goodbyes there. But
All
thank
right.
you.
Blessings.
Blessings. Wow, that was a great conversation, in many cases, um, it's an ongoing conversation, and I think like all of these conversations, they're ongoing if we're willing to stay in them. And that's where the power is. That's where the discovery is. That's where the the possibility is. It just came to mind. The opposite of love for me is indifference. And if someone is indifferent to you, or to your concerns, or to your cares, that's a hard place to come back from. Within my coaching, I say that resignation and resentment is a hard place to come back from. And so, really having people feel that this is what it is and this will always be that's a hard place to be. And so, the more that we can catch ourselves before that, the more that we can be in a space of love. The world wants you, the world needs you, and the world is waiting for you. So go be you. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.